Hello, this is Rachel with Flow on Yoga. Today we're going to do a short practice about the theme of adjust. So we're going to start sitting right here on our mat. Grab a chair. You may want one later because we're going to do a little bit of balance, but it's totally not necessary. And if you want to sit on blocks or pillows, that's okay too. So whenever you're ready, just sit down. You can find a comfortable seated position, preferably cross-legged if you can, if that's accessible. And we're going to get comfortable right here in our cross-legged position. Find a nice comfy spot for your hands, maybe here on your knees, palms down or up, maybe down by your sides or in your lap. Just kind of take a minute to play around and see what feels good for you today, and then start to find some stillness. And then start to bring your focus inward to your body and your breath. And just do a little check-in with how you're feeling today. Inviting you to close the eyes if you want, totally optional. And then begin to draw your attention and your awareness to your breath. And begin to lengthen and deepen your inhales and your exhales, in and out through the nose, fully expanding, inflating the lungs. Feel the rising of the chest and the belly, and even through the sides and into your back. Feel those muscles expanding as you completely fill up with air, and then just let it all out, fully exhaling through the nose. Maybe as you're taking those deep inhales and exhales, you find that your inhale and exhale can get a little deeper. After the first couple breaths, we can find more space to inhale even deeper and more fully, and exhale longer and more fully. And then I invite you right now to kind of check in with how your back's feeling, how your hips and tailbone and sits bones are kind of situated on the ground. And the theme of today's practice is adjust. So maybe after you've been sitting here for a couple moments, you've realized that maybe they're starting to be a round in your back, or you're starting to kind of sink in instead of finding that length through your posture. I invite you to adjust. Maybe take a moment right now to adjust how you're sitting to get that length all the way from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of your head. And one way, and I notice this happens with me all the time when I'm doing yoga, I get seated and settled in, and I'm like, oh, this is good. And then like a minute in, I realize I'm kind of rounding through my back and sort of tipping back onto my hips instead of my sits bones. And so a good way, if you feel yourself doing that, which happens a lot right at the very beginning of your practice, is just take a moment, put your hands right here beside you, and then just kind of lift up and adjust. Really feel your sits bones pressing down into the ground, lifting up through the pelvic floor, lifting up through the core, kind of engaging your core just a little bit, lifting the crown of your head. So taking a moment to adjust, get that nice length through your spine, all the way from the tip your tailbone right up to the crown of your head. And this is a good place also, if you think it would be an appropriate adjustment for you today, to maybe consider sitting on a block, a blanket, or a pillow. And then I invite you, once you take that moment to adjust, to bring the palms together at heart center. I think I've already said our intention and theme for this practice like 5 times by now, but today's intention for this practice, if you did not come with your own, is adjust. So I want you to invite yourself to adjust as needed as we move through this practice, to know that it's always okay to reposition your feet or reposition how you're sitting on the ground or your legs or your arms as we move through these poses, because I would rather you be somewhere that feels appropriate for your body than feel like you need to stay holding in a position that is not appropriate for your body. So just let yourself make those adjustments today. Kind of really dial in to where you want your feet to be in a downward dog, or where your legs should be when you're doing a twisting pose or whatever it is as we move through this practice. So adjusting is good. That, I think I left a comment on our Facebook page that goes along with this site, that part of happiness in life is being able to make adjustments with curiosity or something like that. I probably just totally butchered that, but kind of invite yourself to adjust here throughout this practice today. So go ahead and take one more deep inhale and one more deep exhale. Let the hands go, and then I'm going to give you guys another adjustment to make, whichever way, if your legs are crossed, whichever way they crossed are now, which is the way that is probably more natural and comfortable. Mine is with my right leg in front. I invite you to switch them. We're gonna adjust our legs and bring the opposite leg in front. And again, take a moment to make sure you still have that nice long spine. And we're gonna go with kind of the funky way of crossing our legs as we move through our opening poses. So from here, we're gonna bring the right hand to the ground, left hand up, and just tip towards the right, keeping that left hip bone fully pressed into the ground. I would rather you sacrifice some ability to bend over and keep that hip anchored than to throw yourself over and have your hip up off the ground. It's more important to keep that hip down. And then exhale, bring the arm down, opposite arm up, tipping to the left. And then on your next exhale, bring that arm down and around, left arm to right knee. Just a little twist to the right, maybe bringing your gaze back over your shoulder if that feels appropriate, but really focusing on not how far back you get our gaze, but really twisting from the core and getting that twist through your spine. And again, also keeping your hips, your bottom firmly planted on the ground as you do this twist. Next exhale, we're going to bring it around to the other side. And just take a moment to breathe here. Really twisting from your core. Belly button is in towards your spine and lifted up. We're not letting the hands do the work for us. That work is really coming, twisting is coming from our core, not from our hands. And exhale, bring it back forward. Take one deep inhale here. Then on our exhale, we're going to begin to hinge forward, keeping the back flat. Bring our hands down to the ground. And then just slowly, if you have space, begin to walk your hands forward. And again, trying to keep your hips planted on the ground. And once you kind of find that spot that's your edge, where you feel like if you go any further, your hips might start lifting up, go ahead and relax the head down and round through the spine. Next inhale, bring it back up. We're going to switch the legs again, and we're just going to do that same forward fold we just did, except with our legs back in whatever position is likely the most comfortable for you. So inhale here. Exhale with a flat back, bring it forward, keeping those hips on the ground. When you get to that edge for you, chin to chest, round the spine. Next inhale, look up. And begin to very slowly and carefully walk back up. And we're going to come through center and onto our hands and knees into a tabletop position. So make sure the wrists, elbows, shoulders are in one straight line. Knees are directly under the hips, and knees are about hip length apart. Hip width. I don't think there's a length of your hips. Maybe there is. I don't know. And then really settle in. Really push down through your fingertips, through your knuckles, through the heel of your hand, through the tops of your feet. Again, engage those cores, hug all of your cores. Hug the low ribs in, belly button to spine, and lift. And on your next inhale, we're going to drop the belly, lift the gaze. into our cow, and then exhale, chin to chest, tuck the pelvis, round the spine into a cat. And then just continue with that motion with your own breath. And feeling free in this cat-cow. Kind of take any liberties you want with this movement. You don't have to just stay in this straight line cat and cow movement. You can rock the hips from side to side or circles. Be coming back into a little bit of a child's pose, coming up onto the toes and tips of the fingers, getting a little more space between your shoulder blades. Really exaggerate the motion of transitioning between cat and cow. Just play. There's no one set way that you have to do this cat-cow motion. So just tune in and follow whatever feels good for you today. And after your next exhale, you come back to tabletop, and then you're going to extend your right arm forward, leave it on the ground for now, and your left leg back, leaving the toes on the ground. And there's a couple options. You can stay right here in this extension, just like this, or you can lift the right arm, lift the left leg, stay right here, or you can reach the right arm back and around, bending the left leg, reaching for the foot. If you don't make it, that is perfectly okay. Just practice reaching back there and kind of see how it goes. And if you lose your balance, that's okay. You can always put your hand or your foot down at any time. So here, maybe we reach the foot. Maybe the gaze comes back towards the foot as we press the top of the foot into the hand and lift the left leg. Maybe our gaze stays forward. Again, maybe we're here. Maybe with our feet and our foot and hand on the ground, we just look back. Still get that nice stretch and twist in the side of your body if you do that. Maybe it's forward. Maybe we reach that arm back. Press the top of your foot into your hand. Wherever you are, move slowly with control. Release it back down into that tabletop and do the same thing on the other side. So extend the left arm, extend the right leg, lift, and then reach back for that foot. And again, if you don't make it there, that is okay. You're noticing how this side might feel different than the other. That is also okay and totally normal. Really pressing the top of that foot into your hand, lifting the leg. And then on your next exhale, with control wherever you are, release it back down to the ground. You're going to tuck the toes, and on your next inhale, lift the hips into a downward dog. And remember, the theme for our practice today is adjust. So please take your time here to kind of, to adjust, obviously, but to kind of play around and see what feels comfortable. Some people have a shorter downward dog, like their hands and feet are a little closer together, or maybe yours is a little further apart. See, for me, coming this far apart doesn't really feel good. I think mine's a little on the shorter side. So I always bring my hands back a little bit, play around with how close your feet are together. And with your hands, we want those pointer fingers pointing forward, fingers apart. Really pressing, just like in the tabletop, into our fingertips, our knuckles, the heel of our hand. Remember, hips are lifting up. At the same time, our heels are grounding down. Ears are between the biceps. Upper arm bones are rotating forward. And then after you've taken a few moments to adjust, maybe bending, alternating knees. There goes my right ankle popping. Does that a lot. Find some stillness for just a moment. Then you could stay right here, maybe lower the knees if you need to, or we can begin to get light in our right hand and reach our right hand back towards our left ankle. It's okay if it doesn't make it there. Gaze can stay down. or come up under the left armpit. And just for a moment, exhale, right hand back up towards the left, and then same thing on the other side. And see, I'm sliding a little bit, so I'm going to adjust and then come right back into it. And grounding those heels down, lifting the heels up, looking up underneath my right armpit, or maybe just down towards the ground. And then bring the hands back up to meet in the front. And then on your next inhale, gaze looks up, and then step one foot and then the other up to the top of your mat, and then exhale it all out into a forward fold. Your next inhale, flatten your back, halfway lift. Maybe your hands are on the ground, maybe they're on your shins or your thighs, or maybe here at your hips. Just make sure there's a nice long straight line from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head, having a lot of space and length in your spine. And then exhale, fold it back down again. Then inhale with a slight bend in your knees, chin tucked to your chest. We're pressing down into the feet, just slowly raise up, one vertebrae at a time. Chin comes off the chest last. And then here in our mountain, we're gonna again take a moment to adjust. Maybe pick up both of the feet and just play around with where your feet feel comfortable. Where do your feet go where you can feel your weight evenly distributed between both of your feet, between the front and the backs, between the sides, your toes all pressing down. Here, I'll turn to face you guys. Mine are about hip widths apart, but maybe for you, maybe a little closer together, a little further apart. You can always play with that. Maybe try lifting up your toes and then planting them down, starting with the pinky one at a time. Be adjusting your weight backwards and forwards. Checking in and making sure that you have a neutral pelvis, that you're not tucked or sticking your booty out a little bit. And just take a moment, and come back up to the top of my mat to find your comfortable mountain. Hands down by your side, palms forward, shoulders are relaxed. And then from here, we're going to inhale up, exhale, forward fold, inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fold, and then we're gonna step it back into a plank, and you can either stay in this plank or drop your knees. Either way, we're gonna keep the elbows close to the chest, and on your next exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. I'm gonna put your elbows right underneath your shoulder blades, so where your hands just were a moment before. Really pressing the tops of your feet, your pubic bone into the floor, getting a nice stretch through your belly in this Sphinx pose. Make sure your forearms and your hands are still pressing into the ground here. The shoulders stay away from the ears, not shrugging our shoulders up. Those shoulder blades down the back. And then on our next exhale, we're going to come back down. Bring the hands underneath the elbows. Keep those elbows hugged in tight towards the ribs. Same thing, press into the tops of the feet. Press into the pubic bone, and on the next inhale, lifting up. Glutes are engaged, abs are engaged, hugging those low ribs in. Feet, pubic bone pressing into the floor, lifting up into a baby cobra. Or maybe yours is a little bigger than a baby. That's okay too. And exhale, lower it down. Tuck your toes, and you can either come up on your knees, with your knees, or up into a plank on your next inhale. And from wherever you are, exhale it into downward dog. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step into a halfway lift with a flat back. And on your next exhale, we're gonna fold. And then inhale, bend the knees, chin to chest, root to rise. All the way back up to standing. Maybe the hands meet above the head. Maybe the gaze lifts for a little mini back bend. And on your next exhale, bring your hands down to your side. I'm gonna take a little step back because we're gonna do some balancing poses. I have a chair here, which you can use if you want. I'm gonna have it right here beside me, actually. So I was gonna do my right leg first, but I'm gonna do my left leg first so you guys can see what I'm doing and how I'm using the chair. Because the chair's on this side, it might block me a little bit. We're actually gonna start with our left leg. We're gonna really root down into our right foot, become light in our left leg, lift the knee, and again, use this chair if you need it, or use a wall. It is okay to balance here, to use something to assist. And then maybe if you just wanna have it there as a safety and you don't wanna use it unless you have to, that's okay too. And then we're gonna reach the foot back towards the hand. Again, you can stay right here. And just like we did when we were down on our hands and knees, we really want to press the foot into the hand. And if you're here and you're feeling really nice and balanced, and you're like, I got this, I invite you to maybe, using that chair or not, begin to tilt forward and really kick that leg back into the hand even more. Maybe using that chair. It's always harder to balance when I talk, and this carpet's not great for it either. So you can come forward, keeping a nice little bend in that right leg, and reach forward. Again, always using that chair if you need it. You can also have the chair out here in front of you and use it like this. That is okay too. Into a bow pose. Dancer, I mean, sorry. This is dancer. And then next exhale, slowly with control from wherever you are. Lower that left leg down, or your right if you started with your right. Shake the feet out a little bit, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna leave the chair up there. So really pressing down and grounding down to our left leg, becoming light in the right leg. Toes, lifting it up in front of you, and then reaching the right foot back towards the right hand. And then again, you can stay right here. Maybe press that foot into the hand a little bit and reach it back. And maybe tilting it forward. And it's okay if you need to adjust from here. As you can see, if you can look at my foot's doing a lot of micro adjustments right now to keep my balance. Again, if you have that chair there, you need a little balance check. That's what the chair is for. And on your next exhale, slowly and with control, place the right foot back down. Once you're back down in that mountain pose, move this chair out of the way so I don't hit my head on it while I'm doing a forward fold.
We're gonna inhale up, maybe doing that little micro back bend, or maybe making it even a little bigger this time. Trying to look back behind you, palms together above the head. Exhale,
Fold it all the way down into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And then step one foot back, and then the other into your plank. And again, you can drop your knees here if you need to. Keep those elbows hugged in as we exhale all the way down to our bellies. And we're gonna start in doing another Cobra. So keep those hands right underneath your shoulders, elbows hugged in, tops of the feet really pressed in. Engage the core, engage the glutes, engage the quads. Basically, your whole lower body is engaged here. Really pressing down through your pubic bone on your inhale. Lift up into a Cobra. If you feel any pinching in your lower back, invite yourself to bring it down a little bit, or try engaging the muscles in the legs or grounding down through the hips even more. Now we're gonna exhale, lower. And you can keep doing this Cobra again. You can also stay in Sphinx for all of this if that's more comfortable for you. All of those are perfectly okay. Now, if you want to try something different, gonna interlace the fingers behind the back. We're gonna try to keep the palms of the hand together, pressing our hands down towards our tailbone. Same thing as before, tops of the feet, pubic bone, and all of our leg muscles, our glutes are really engaged. Then we're gonna inhale up to, I think this is called Locust. Just kind of flew away from me the name, but I think that's correct. Really engaging through your abs, hugging those low ribs in, belly button to spine and lifting. And exhale, lower. And then from here, you can do any of those three again. You can do Sphinx, you can do Cobra, or you can do the Locust, if that's what it's called. I'm gonna scoot down a little bit, or do our upward bow. So we're gonna grab the right foot and then the left. So we're not gonna have our feet on the floor this time, but we still wanna engage through our abs, engage through our core, pressing the pelvis down into the ground. And on your next inhale, lift, really pressing the tops of the feet into your hands, trying to keep the knees close together. Make sure you're breathing, hugging those low ribs in. And exhale with control, lower. And then from wherever you are here, we're gonna bring our hands back underneath our shoulders, untuck the toes, and we're gonna lift it up and back, hips sinking down towards our heels and into a child's pose. And feel free to bring your knees out wide if that's more comfortable for you. You can leave your hands forward, or maybe bring them back down alongside the legs, hands near the feet. This is my personal favorite variation of child's pose. I like letting my shoulders just relax here. And just taking a couple moments to breathe. To enjoy being in this rounded spine position after we just did all that work. Lifting up in the opposite direction. This should feel really nice. And then we'll begin to very slowly and carefully make your way up. And coming back down into a seated position. Cross-legged, and then we're going to take one last opportunity here before we close our practice to adjust. If you're sitting with your more comfortable, and actually I just realized that I automatically came into my left leg in front this time, which is kind of weird because I did right leg to the front. So whichever way you are here, we're going to switch it. I'm going to adjust, find that length in your spine, lifting up all the way through the crown of your head in one nice long line, and length and space between each and every vertebrae of your spine. Comfortable place to put the hands. So maybe that's on your knees, palms up, palms down, maybe in the lap, maybe down by your side. Feel free to experiment. I invite you to close your eyes if you would like. On your next exhale, we're going to bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, lift. Same thing to the other side. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder, letting your right shoulder release. Take a deep inhale, and then on your next exhale, circle down, chin to chest. Inhale, lift. Take a couple deep breaths together. We're going to inhale the arms up. Maybe the gaze follows. Sigh it out through the mouth, hands through heart center. That 2 more times. And 1 more. Thumbs come towards the chest. Chest is lifting up towards the palms. Close your eyes if you would like. Thank you so much for joining me today for this practice. If you've enjoyed exploring the idea of adjustments on our mat, and maybe how we can also take that idea of adjusting off the mat into our everyday lives. Know that meeting life with curiosity and adaptability, as that quote I totally butchered at the beginning of this practice goes, leads to a happy life, because there will be changes. It's one of the constants in life is that things will change. And not only must we adapt, but we are adaptable people. We are able to make those adaptations. We are capable of change and adjusting. And that's pretty awesome. So thank you again for joining me today. I hope to see you next time. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste.